10-minute Bible Hour podcast. I'm coming. Hang on. There we go. Now I'm here. I had to move some stuff around. I think I got it situated. We're having a rainstorm, and it's a beautiful rainstorm, and everything smells like pine trees and woods and mountains and springtime, and it's absolutely lovely, but it's also loud. So I was just moving some stuff around here as I was turning the mic on that I thought might help make it so that you don't hear a real loud rainstorm. So if I ever shut up long enough for you to hear things in between my words, you should listen to hear if you can hear rain. And if you can, you should tell me so that I can try a different setup to make it work so that you don't have to hear whatever weather is happening when I record this. Okay, Bible. We're in Galatians 5, 1 through 12. Some of the turns of phrases in here have been pretty straightforward. We can see right where those fit in the grander argument that Paul is making in this letter to the Galatian churches. Some of these turns of phrases, it feels like we have to guess a little bit what Paul might be responding to here. Then there's a few of these such turns of phrases down the stretch where we got to think just a little bit. Okay, why would he say that? Probably he's responding to this, and we can make sense of it and make it all fit together. Last time around, we looked at this phrase here where Paul says, brothers and sisters, if I'm still preaching circumcision, why am I still being persecuted? Maybe some of you have never been here before. What a strange day for you to jump in for the first time. And then just randomly, I'm like, anyways, circumcision. Let's talk about that as an activity. The circumcision question is a question of loyalty to the law. These Christians in Galatia, they had split loyalty. They at first were loyal to Jesus, and they're like, I have faith in Jesus, and that's why I have hope of right standing with God. They were right early on. Interlopers came in and said, Jesus is great, but to get to Jesus, you first have to become fully Jewish, observe the Jewish law, observe Jewish customs, and to really cement that, to really show that you mean it as kind of your rite of passage and oath of loyalty, we're going to need to do some adult male circumcision around here. Apparently, some people misrepresented what Paul taught to the Galatians, and in that little turn of a phrase, he's straightening them out to say, I'm getting hit with rocks and flogged a bunch, and it's because I'm teaching the unpopular thing, not because I'm teaching the easy thing that these people are trying to get you to believe. So he says, brothers and sisters, if I'm still preaching circumcision, why am I being persecuted? Then he says, in that case, the offense of the cross has been abolished. Now, what do we mean by offense of the cross in this particular context? That's a phrase, by the way, that if you've been around Christianity for a while, that the cross is offensive. Offense of the cross language is one that gets repeated quite a bit because, it's a stunning image, right? People wear crosses around. People have cross tattoos. Even people who aren't Christians and don't really know what it means, they integrate it. For crying out loud, I got a video coming up here in a while, what a goofy video over on my YouTube channel, about Christian imagery at Epcot Center. You think of Disney as a place that sort of tries to completely expunge all evidence of the existence of Christianity or religion in general from everything they're doing. It makes sense from a marketing perspective. I get why they'd want to try to shoot as neutral and secular as possible, but I took my daughters again, to Epcot Center for their senior trip with a bunch of their friends, and I spent the whole day going around being like, I'm going to find all the places where historic Christian stuff sneaked through and is still visible here because you just can't separate it from the history of the world. That'll be a fun and cute little video that I made with one of my daughters, and it'll come out later. But the point is, even at Epcot Center, you still got crosses and stuff all over the place. And generally, it's thought of as a very friendly image. It's one of the simplest images that occurs in all of nature. Anytime two straight things intersect, I guess you get a cross right there. So because it's such a common, naturally occurring phenomenon, I suppose it's pretty easy to have the pareidolia effect happen, where you read something in or you read meaning into things, like you see faces in places where there aren't. It's maybe easy to see the image of the cross in places where it wasn't intended. But generally speaking, the cross in modern culture, I think, is considered a pretty nice image of Christianity. It's one that you can use for jewelry and pleasant things. It doesn't usually need to come with some kind of content warning. And, setting aside the reality that there are people who really don't like Jesus and Christianity and they want a content warning on anything that involves anything involving God or hope or faith or any of that stuff. Setting aside the goofball outliers who tried to throw a revolution and dispose of all religion and faith here over the last few years, setting that extremism aside, most people of faith or not faith are pretty amenable to the cross in modern history. It's a nice image. That's the point. Certainly not the most offensive image within Christianity, or the thing you could say from the Bible or Christianity that would be most off-putting. I think a lot of us would say it's one of the tamer expressions or images from Christianity. So then why are we calling it offensive? What is offensive about the cross? The root word here, the original Greek, is scandalon. I got taught that in seminary. I don't remember it anymore. So I just always like to give that disclaimer that there are people who know all of this off the top of their heads, but I don't want to lie by editing and researching something real quick off screen. And this is acting like I knew it. I didn't know that. It's okay if you don't know that. Props to you if you did know that. But scandalon, that's right. I remember that from school. And I guess it literally means stumbling block. Again, didn't remember that from my Greek vocab stuff either. Had to go and look that up again. But then I was like, oh, that's right. It's an obstacle. It's a hurdle. It's a stumbling block. It's something that people get hung up on. Oh, golly, look what I did there. I'm telling you, the puns that happen on this podcast, 99 out of 100 are a complete accident. And that was another one. When I said high stakes a lot about the stuff in the Esther season with Haman, those were all accidents, but I kept doing it because I just use that phrase a lot. All of the circumcision jokes, those might have been on purpose. It's very hard to say at this point, but usually puns like that are an accident. I'm very sorry that happened. But now here we are. People get hung up on the cross. It's a stumbling block. It's an obstacle. It messes with people. They don't know what to do with it. It makes people's sense of right and wrong and justice and what's fair and how things ought to be. Then conventional wisdom and common sensibilities, it makes that all spin. It scrambles the whole thing up because the cross, it's just not the order of things. It doesn't feel natural. It's not the way things are supposed to be in terms of what it means. That being that Christ died for us while we were still sinners. Christ is God. He's God in the flesh. He's the Son of God. He's Emmanuel, God with us. He's the King who's promised to reign on the throne of David forever. He's the one who all the way back in the garden is supposed to come along and get struck in the heel by the serpent, but then crush the head of the serpent, representative of all resistance to God and the human problem and evil and suffering and all of that. What is he doing dying? It all feels backwards and weird and upside down if you really step back and think about it and ponder the cross for a minute in a way that goes beyond cool jewelry. So, okay, if we really think about it for a minute, the cross is weird. It messes with us. It's a stumbling block. But what does Paul mean by it here? In that case, the offense of the cross has been abolished. Well, this might change by tomorrow, but right now, I have jotted down 5 different theories about what exact offense Paul is talking about in this context that the symbol of my faith is somehow exemplary of in this case that we're reading about here in Galatians. So tomorrow, we're going to run through all of those. All right, that's plenty for now. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.